What's up, guys? Michael here, and I'm downstairs in my basement where I do all of my hydroponic growing. I had some work to do today, so I figured I would make a video and show you guys how to get started in hydroponics. If you've never done this before, but you're at all curious or interested in growing food indoors hydroponically, stick around. I'm going to show you how to get started. All right, so hydroponics. Why get started in hydroponics? I like to grow stuff. I like to eat stuff, herbs, lettuce, salad items, kale, spinach. It is a lot easier to grow it hydroponically inside. I'm down here in my basement. It is always about 66, 68 degrees down here. Never rains in the basement. There are no bugs. There's no fungus. There's no freezing temperatures. It gives you the perfect climate to grow, and especially these type of plants. There are certain things, some hot peppers, things like that, that want to be outside. They want to be a lot hotter. But in terms of what I just described, the basil, the kale, the spinach, the lettuce, all my favorite type stuff like that, this upper 60 temperature is just perfect for it. So it thrives down here. And I'm in New Jersey. I can grow 365 days a year. So it's a huge advantage. What do you need to get started in hydroponics? There's a few different types of hydroponics out there. I practice what's called deep water culture, which is really, really simple. It is some sort of bucket or container with standing water. The roots grow in the water, of course, that has nutrients in it. There's an air pump to provide oxygen to those roots, and that's it. Really simple. There's a lot of other stuff out there. Drip systems, ebb and flow. Bottom line, I've been running deep water culture, which is probably the most simple form of hydroponics. I've been doing it for a few years now. It's the only type I've ever really run. It works absolutely fantastic. It's simple, it's reliable. You don't have to worry about pumps breaking or possibly flooding your basement or anything like that. So I stick with it. So you're going to need some sort of tub or tank. I'm going to show you two examples of what I'm doing depending on what type of plant. One, very simple 5-gallon bucket. The other type would be some sort of tub like this. In the tub, we drill some holes, and those holes are drilled for what are called these net cups. This is where the little plants, the seedlings, are going to live. They're going to go in there like that. I'm going to set up one of these today. So the other one I'm going to do is a 5-gallon bucket with a giant net cup on there. There's absolutely no difference between these two except size. So why am I running two? Two different types, two different sizes. I'm going to have one basil plant in here. I have another one. I'm going to have one kale plant in there. Today is May 4th. My seedlings are about 3 weeks old. By the end of the summer, these plants will be 2 to 3 feet tall. I'll have to continually prune them down to keep them small. The basil and the kale will absolutely thrive in this deep water culture hydroponics, and I want one plant in this container. It's going to drink a lot of solution, dedicated for one plant, and also this is a big, strong, stable container. It's not going to fall over. With my blue tub, which holds about 7 gallons of water, this is where I'm going to run my spinach and my lettuce. The spinach and the lettuce don't grow tall. They stay a lot shorter. You can bunch them up a little bit closer, and this will allow me to get 8 plants in here. I also have tub lids that were cut for slightly larger net cups, like this. Obviously, buckets are available at the home center. We'll turn that around. Lowe's is not paying me. Tubs are available anywhere. Home center, Walmart, Target. These, I would recommend getting them from Amazon. I will post links in the description below for all the net cups that I'm using today. Of course, you can get these at a hydroponic supply shop if you happen to have one local to you. But I will post links where you can buy all these on Amazon. Distilled water. You need to use water that has 0 total dissolved solids. There's really 2 ways to accomplish that. 1, distilled water, or 2, a reverse osmosis filter. I don't have a reverse osmosis filter, so I'm going to use distilled water. I tried, when I first got started in hydroponics, using tap water. Your tap water most likely has dissolved solids in it, maybe calcium, manganese, small amounts of copper maybe from your piping system. That interferes with the solution we're trying to mix up. It interferes with the pH. It interferes with the plant's ability to uptake the nutrients. So you want to start with 0 total dissolved solids. If you're wondering what the total dissolved solids are of your tap water or your well water at your house, get yourself a TDS meter. I will post a link below to where I got this on Amazon. It's inexpensive, and this will tell you what the total dissolved solids are of your water. So if you have a reverse osmosis filter, get one of these, test it, confirm that your filter is working and that you have 0 TDS. If you want to start with distilled water, which is relatively inexpensive at Walmart or Target or anywhere else, no need to buy this. Distilled water has a 0 TDS. Nutrients. So I believe the definition of hydroponics, I should probably have looked this up first, but I believe the definition of hydroponics is something like growing plants in water or growing without soil or something like that. Basically what we're doing is we're using this to support our plant because there's no soil, there's no structure for the roots. So this supports the plant, and then the roots just live in water, and that water has nutrients in it. The roots uptake the nutrients, and the plants grow. And they grow much better, much healthier, and much faster than if they were outside in soil or even inside in soil, because again, we're giving them exactly what they need and nothing that they don't. So for nutrients, I have been using Aquaflakes 2-part A and B by House Garden. I have been using this for years. It's a 2-part nutrient solution. You mix equal parts A with equal parts B, and the results that I get with this are absolutely fantastic. I highly, highly recommend this. I will post links in the description below where you can find this on Amazon. I just reordered, and I believe I just paid about $22 for each one. So figure $44, $45 will get you some nutrients, and this is going to last you a long time. The other thing that we need to do after we mix our nutrients up is adjust the pH. The pH needs to be specific in order to have proper uptake by the roots. The proper pH is about a 6 or a 6.5 for what we're going to plant today. And that's very easy to measure. I use something like this, just a little color test kit. I will also post a link to this in the description below. And this will tell you what the pH is. I can tell you that when I use distilled water and I add my Aquaflakes A and B nutrients, my pH is always low. It's acidic, probably somewhere around a 5. So I need to bring it up. I use this, pH Up by Botanicare. I'll post a link to this. I don't remember if I got this on Amazon, so if I can't find this on Amazon, I'll post another link in the description below for some other pH regulating fluids. There's pH up and there's pH down depending on what you need. I'd say the other very, very important part of hydroponics would be light. The plant needs the right light and it needs a proper amount of light. If you're just getting started, the most cost-effective way that I found to get started with lights are the compact fluorescent bulbs. You want the daylight ones. Usually, that's the blue package. These are the daylight ones, a very, very bright white light. You can see here I have relatively different little aluminum hoods or covers. Found these at Home Center. That is a very, very inexpensive way to get started. I will show you the lights that I'm running over here in a second. Once you get a little bit more into hydroponics and a little bit more serious, you want to upgrade to probably T5 fluorescent tubes, the high output tubes. If you're really serious, you can go with the LEDs. They're expensive to buy, no different than regular LEDs for your home now. They're expensive to buy up front, but they last a really long time. The T5s are not expensive to buy. They don't last that long, so it makes perfect sense. And then you want to get yourself a small timer from the home center, and you want to run your lights. I believe I run my lights for, I don't know, maybe 16, 18 hours a day. So with that being said, let's get started mixing up some nutrients and some water. Now, regarding the 5-gallon buckets and these net cups, or these bucket lids, if you plan on going this route, under normal conditions, once your plants are established and they've got, you know, enormous roots, I run 3 gallons. 3 gallons of water in here. When you're just getting started and you're setting these up, you're setting up small seedlings, which you're going to see me do in a second. And what I want to check right now is to see if I put this in here. Okay, so the distance between the bottom of here and the water level is about 1 inch. That's okay. So the roots are not yet going to be touching down into that water. But the reason why that's going to be okay is because we're going to use an air pump, a small air pump. Like an aquarium air pump. I believe I got these from Petco. And we're going to use an air stone, and we're going to put that in there. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to put oxygen into the water for the roots. If the roots can't have oxygen, they'll drown. But what's going to happen is that's naturally going to create a lot of bubbles and a lot of splashing. So again, the distance between this water level, using 3 gallons in a 5-gallon bucket, and right here, when that's in there, is about 1 inch. But I'm going to get a lot of splashing, and that splashing is going to come up underneath. And those roots, I like to say, they're going to feel that. They're going to know where to go. They're going to get a little bit of splashing, which will keep the plant alive. And the roots are going to have a tendency to grow very, very quickly downward, looking for that water, looking for that solution, looking for those nutrients that they need. Let's talk about how much of the nutrients we're going to put in. With established plants, all nutrients are different, of course. But if you're going to go with the Aquaflakes A and B, what I've been doing for years is 7 milliliters per gallon of each one. Okay, so 3 gallons, 7 times 3 is 21. I need 21 milliliters of A and 21 milliliters of B in this bucket. When you're starting your seedlings, I cut that in half. So when you're setting up little baby seedlings in a starter tub, I go with about 3.5 mLs per gallon. But my seedlings are almost a month old. I'm going to go ahead and give them what I call full strength. There are charts that you can find online that will talk about changing the nutrient strength for each week of the plant's life and using a little more and using a little less. I'm just going to tell you what my experience says. I run 7 mLs per gallon. I've been doing it for years with fantastic results. That's what I'm going to do today. So the instructions for the Aqua Flakes are to mix them in independently. So I just put in my 21 milliliters of Aqua Flakes A into the bucket, and I'm going to mix it very, very thoroughly before I add my 21 milliliters of the Aqua Flakes B. Now, at this point, with whatever water you're using and whatever nutrients you're using, test your pH. I know what my pH is right now. It's low. It's probably about a 5. I don't need to test my pH right now. I'm just going to go ahead and raise my pH. I'm going to use a pH up product. And from experience, I know about how much to put in. When you're doing this, my advice would be put in a very, very little amount of either your pH up or down and go very, very gradually until you get the hang of it. It's easier to come up on it slowly than to overshoot and then have to go back and forth and back and forth. Hopefully, I either got it right or I'm close. So I'm going to stir this up. You can use a pH meter, test meter. It looks very similar to the TDS test meter. I'm going to put a link to one of those in the description below. You can use pH test strips, or you can go with the liquid and the little vial and the color test. So what I'll do is take my vial, and the first thing I'm going to do is fill it, pour it out a few times, making sure that if there was anything in the vial, it's completely out, and the only thing I'll be truly testing is the water. And with this specific kit here, you want to fill the vial about halfway. And put about 3 drops in. Maybe 4 drops. Now I know from experience I want this to be yellow. I think that is actually a hair low. So I don't know how well you can see this on the camera. But that's a little low. That's a little orange, which is more like a 5. I wanted it to be yellow, which is more like a 6. So the good news is I didn't overshoot. I put in a little bit too little of my pH up, which is okay, because now I'll just put in a little bit more. All right, so I had turned off the camera for a second there, but I did add a little bit more of the pH up to each one. Let's check it out. There you go. Hopefully you can see that, but that's basically yellow color. And the yellow corresponds to a 6, maybe a 6.5. So I've been doing this a long time. I'm using the same thing. For me, As soon as I see that yellow color, I'm good. I know I'm done. Okay. This is what I call my hydroponic starter tub. So I have another video where I show the process of taking the seedlings and putting them into and setting up my hydroponic starter tub. So the purpose of this little tub is it's halfway in between new seedlings starting and getting them into their permanent home. So it gives me an opportunity to, number one, have a 50% solution strength, the 3.5 mLs per gallon instead of the 7 mLs per gallon. It's also a small little tub with a lot of little holes drilled in the top for the net cup, so I can get a lot of plants in here. Now, you're probably wondering, why is there so much algae in there? Why is that so green? Hopefully you can see this on the camera. Well, it's very simple. This is a clear tub, and that clear tub allows the light to come in, and the algae starts to grow immediately. So a clear tub would be a really, really poor choice on a long-term basis for your hydroponic tank. That's why you want at least a tub that is translucent. If not opaque, would be even better. These blue tubs that are translucent, they work great. I don't have an algae problem with them. The reason why I get away with this is because it's only for a couple of weeks. The seedlings are in here for just a couple of weeks. And just about the time when the tank is overrun with algae and the roots have way too much algae on them, it's time to take them out, so it works. What we have here you need some sort of, I want to say medium, to hold the plant. So what do I put in here to hold the plant? Well, the answer for me, I call them lava rocks. I think that's what they are. I think they're inert. I don't think they don't have an effect on the pH at all. They're cheap. I've been using them for years. I know you can use the small little balls. The little round balls work very well. You can just use large Grodan cubes, what used to be called Rockwool cubes. They're made by a company called Grodan. These are the little small ones, the 1.5 by 1.5. I talk a lot about this in that other video, so link in the description below to the other video. But these come in all sizes, including big sizes where you could just simply put it right into here. And that would probably work pretty well. But again, I use these lava rocks. Okay, first guy up. This is a kale plant. Hopefully you can see the roots. The roots look pretty good. They have a lot of algae on them. That's no good, but that'll wash off very quickly. No big deal. So this is one beautiful little healthy kale plant here. And what I want to do is I want to get this plant to end up maybe about a ½ an inch below the top of this big bucket or basket or net cup right here. And I also want to see if I can get those roots to start the process of growing down through the openings. First thing I'm going to do is rinse them off. Then I think I'll put a little bit of the lava rocks in here. I'm almost trying to see if I could just get those roots to kind of start their way through the side of this big net cup here. Not as easy as it looks. Now, one of the things that I love to do is to help this little guy out. Trying to avoid a little bit of a transplant shock here. His roots are not exactly touching that solution yet. So I'm going to grab a turkey baster, and I'm going to get some of that solution and try to get him as wet as possible. And again, the best thing I can do for this is to get this going with that air pump, because that air pump is going to create a lot of bubbles, a lot of splashing, a lot of turbulence, and that's going to get up underneath there, and his roots will feel that. He'll start to grow pretty quickly. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with a basil plant. So here's a little basil plant. This guy is, again, they're all about 3.5 weeks old. Looks great. Some really nice roots on there. So again, we're going to go ahead and get him soaked down. All right, so now let's get our air pump going. These are the stones I use. These are little aquarium stones. And what I'll do is actually dip this in here to wet the barb, make it easier to slide. So one thing that you need to do is drill a little hole in your bucket so that you can put your air tube through. I'm also going to dip the end of the tube in the water, again, just to make sure that, or make it easier to slide the barb from the stone on there. And I'm going to drop that in. Same thing with the other one here, through the hole. Now let's go ahead and turn on our air pump. Now I apologize for the shaky in the camera. I'm holding the camera in my hand, but I want to show you what it looks like with the bubbles in here. Now I have an air pump that has 4 lines that comes off of it. It's an aquarium air pump, readily available at Petco or PetSmart or any aquarium supply shop. But the nice thing about the pump that I have with the 4 lines coming out is that it also has an adjustable flow. So right now that's turned down. And when this plant is established, that's all you need. But because I want to have more splashing and more bubbles and more turbulence, I'm going to turn this up. And that's going to help splash some more of that solution up underneath my roots. Alright, so I went ahead and set up this 7-gallon tub exactly the same way I set up the 5-gallon buckets. 7 gallons of distilled water, proper ratio of nutrients. I set the pH. Now we're going to go ahead and get this air pump set up. Just like the 5-gallon buckets, you need to drill a little hole in your tub so that you can put your line through. Alright, and now the fun part. Get to put our seedlings in here. We got some spinach here. So I'm submerging them in the solution. This baby spinach is very slow. It still doesn't have roots protruding out the bottom yet. The roots are still inside of that Grodan cube right there. So I want to go ahead and submerge it to soak that Grodan cube with that solution. And you look here at this lettuce plant, obviously some beautiful roots. I'll still go ahead and submerge that. This lettuce variety, I believe, is it's either a salad bowl or a black-seeded Simpson. I can't remember which one germinated. Now these two kale plants here, this is just temporary. I'm actually going to give these away to somebody in the next couple days. I'm putting them in here just to keep them alive and growing. Alright guys, I know that was a long video. If you stuck with me all the way to the end, thank you. I really appreciate it. I really hope you learned something and that you enjoyed it. And I'm having a blast making these videos, sharing with you guys everything that I am constantly working so hard to learn. I look forward to talking with you in the comment section, so please go ahead and ask me any questions that you want. I'd be happy to answer them. Now, if you could do me a favor and help support my efforts and support my channel, like, comment, subscribe, share this video with anyone who you think might be interested in learning what we've been talking about today. Thank you. I'll catch you on the next one.